Welcome to the demo of the 24B Manage Inspection Characteristics in Redwood Pages feature in Manufacturing's Quality Inspection Management. In this demo, we'll cover how to create and search for inspection characteristics using the new Redwood pages, associate characteristics to characteristic groups and create new groups when needed. You'll also see how to activate or inactivate inspection characteristics, several at once or individually. You'll see that the enhanced user experience and better search capabilities provided in this feature will enhance your business by allowing for more efficient data management. We'll begin the demonstration at the quality management work area. We'll go ahead and we will search for our inspection characteristics. We can go ahead and we can enter filter criteria as always, or we can leave the box blank and go directly to the Redwood pages that have much better search capability. Right off the bat, you'll notice you can search not only by name but by description. You'll also see that we have several other available search criteria. So for instance, I can go ahead and restrict the characteristics that I'm seeing to a particular characteristic group or multiple groups. I can pick several at once. And all of the characteristics you see now are all belonging to one of the two groups, or possibly both, depending on how they're defined. I can also go ahead and say we want to only look at, for instance, character type characteristics. So our search criteria works together, and they are persistent for the session of the manage page that you have. So you can go ahead, you can search by source object, which is, for instance, you wanted to see only non-item type characteristics, not item-based characteristics. And you might want to see only active characteristics, for example. So they all work together, and they are all persistent. You can, of course, go ahead and you can inactivate them by clicking on the X. But it's much easier, much more visible search basis for your characteristics in the Redwood pages, as you can see. So we can also go ahead and create a new characteristic here. So for instance, I want to create a new characteristic called Power Up. So what I want to do is I want to use this characteristic as kind of a yes/no. Does the newly received computer, for instance, power up? As always, you go ahead and you can define if your characteristic is item-based or non-item-based. So of course, if it's item-based, you'll be asked to go ahead and specify the item class and then map the attributes for target, min, and max. A non-item characteristic, you'll be asked to specify the data type. So character, which can be either non-validated if you don't have a list, or validated if you provide a list of values. Numeric or date as always, and based upon what you choose, you'll be given different values to enter. And it's laid out much more clearly than in the older pages. You know exactly what you're doing, how the values relate to each other. So in this particular case, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to define a character type, and I'm going to define it with a set of valid values. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit and enter my values. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say we'll power up. So it's going to be yes for my first value. And once you start entering your list of values, you'll be reminded that you have to set one of the values as a target. I'm going to go ahead and add all my values first. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set yes as my target value. As you can see, since we're defining this characteristic, we can go ahead and edit the value. We can delete the value. Um, we can go ahead and, change another characteristic to be the target value. There can, of course, only be one target value, but you can change that back and forth if you're defining your characteristic. So I've gone ahead and I've defined my value set, the values that will be applicable here. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to associate my characteristic to an existing characteristic group. So I would want to associate this to my computers group as we had before. So I'll go ahead and save that. I can also create a new group if I'd like. Call it my new group. I can enter my description right here. Um, and then I can save it. So this is something else that's a little nicer to work with. We've gone ahead and we've defined our new group, and it's automatically associated to this characteristic, is associated to it, I should say. In the previous version of this UI, you had to do it in two steps. You had to create the group first and then associate it to the characteristic. The assumption here is that if you're creating it here, you're going to want to associate your characteristic to that group. So we do that for you automatically. Another thing from the usability perspective, folks would complain that you couldn't see the attachments. You'd have to click into another box. It's not obvious. Are there attachments on the characteristics? So that's one of the things that is actually easier to deal with in the Redwood UI. So I can go ahead and I can choose an attachment. I can just drag and drop that from my computer, and you'll see a list of all your attachments directly on the characteristic itself. You can add it by drag and drop. You can, specify a URL. For instance, if I want to add some kind of procedure that I've got, I can put a URL to that. As always, you can have as many attachments as you'd like, but the visibility is much better than it was in the previous version of the user interface. So as always, you can go ahead and save and create another inspection characteristic, or in this particular case, we're going to just go ahead and save and close. So as you can see, as I said before, the inspection criteria that you've put in here, the filter chips actually is what they're referred to as, are persistent. You'll see our new characteristic, power up. And as always, your characteristics are defaulted to being active, so you can use them to define your specification on an inspection plan. You can go ahead and individually set as inactive if you want to do that. You'll notice you won't see it because I have one of my filter chips as active, so once I get rid of that filter chip, you'll see power up again. I can go ahead and I can select multiple items and go ahead and perform an action on them. I might want to set these as inactive. I can select up to 10 characteristics at once to act on. So I've set those to an active. I can also go ahead and set them back to active. So much easier to control these, manage the usability of these characteristics as a group. You can go ahead and click on the link and it will take you to view the characteristic in view only mode. If you want to edit a characteristic, you can go ahead and choose edit. That will take you to the edit mode for the screen. As always, when you're in edit mode, what you can edit is dependent upon if you've used this characteristic to perform an inspection or it's associated to an approved inspection plan. Will limit the values that you can change on the characteristic. Again, as I said, as I showed, you can set it as inactive as well individually. and that will change. If this was inactive, we could activate it individually. And that covers a lot of it. What we'll do now is we can go ahead and go back to our overview page. One thing we could do also is we could have gone directly in if we wanted to just define a new characteristic. We could have gone directly to our usual list of create and gone directly to create an inspection characteristic without going through the manage page. When you do go directly, it will still take you back to the manage inspection characteristics page, but then again, you can go back to the overview page. That concludes our demo. This concludes our presentation. Thank you for watching.